Hello, and welcome to What's Your Story? I am so excited today to bring you the guest that we have. She's just absolutely one of my favorite people in the world. And so I'm really happy to share her with you. I think you're going to love her. Her name is Abigail Rebecca, and she is an international speaker and a thought leader. And she has a very diverse background from being a corporate leader, a trained personal stylist, and she's been an EFT practitioner and a Kundalini yoga instructor. I mean, she's just amazing, and she has a wealth of knowledge and experience, and her journey is a testimonial to resilience, transformation, and the power of authenticity. So here she is, Abigail Rebecca.
Hi,
Welcome.
hi, Judy. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Hi, I'm absolutely delighted to have you on the show. I'm always kind of reticent to mention something, but I saw you have it in your bio, so I'm going to ask you about it. And you said I could ask you anything, so get ready. Um, it said in your bio that you made a brave decision at the age of 16 years old to leave a religious cult that disempowered women. And could you tell us just a little bit more about that? Because that is so different that most of us are really wondering what went on and how did you get there and how did you get out and how is your life different now?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to share. So I was born in as a third generation Jehovah's Witness. And I believe it's a religious cult that really disempowers women. I was raised from a very early age to be obedient to men, to be subservient to men. I was told what to dress, who I could talk to, um, as even as far as like my beliefs. Like I wasn't allowed to challenge anything. I wasn't allowed to have my own opinions about anything. My father even chose my school subjects. Like for my in the UK, we called them at the time GCSEs, which were like the higher education subjects, and he chose all of them for me. And I really wanted to do science, and I wanted to do like more creative things. And yeah, he chose like cookery and needlework and childcare, so you know where that's going, right?
Yes, yes.
And it was very difficult for me because it was the only life that I knew. I deeply love my parents. They had my best interest in heart in place. There was a lot of love also within my family, but I knew it just wasn't me. And when I got to about 16 years, actually I was 16 years old, and I could then make a decision whether I was going to stay and live my life like that. You know, I was raised to be a wife and a mother, and there's nothing wrong with being a wife and a mother. It's a lovely role, but only when you choose it, right? And
Yes.
that was chosen for me. So I had to go into that life that was chosen for me, or choose freedom. And I chose freedom, but it meant that I was to leave all of my friends and family behind. And that's what I decided to do. And I chose freedom, and I continue to choose freedom for every single woman out there. I Freedom is my number one value, and every decision that I make in my life is really aligned to that freedom. I left and I traveled the world and just had some wonderful experiences and lived in amazing places, and I had I've had such an amazing life. I started my corporate career in my 30s. I came back to the UK after I'd done a lot of traveling around the world. And then I started my business about 7 years ago. And again, it's always been around freedom, freedom for myself and freedom for other people.
And you do a lot of coaching with women, don't you?
Yeah, that's like the predominant part of my work. As a company, as a business, we hold workshops and retreats all around the world, women's retreats. And but I really, really love to coach. I love to work with founders and CEOs and their teams and really help them to align their business strategy with their human design. I'm a human design leadership mentor, and I truly believe that this system is just incredible, because what it does is it really helps us to understand ourselves better, understand how our energy works, And instead of trying to compare ourselves to other people all of the time, to actually really come back and accept ourselves and come back to deep self-love, so that we can then go out and we can create whatever we want in our lives. And again, it all comes back to freedom.
Yes. And you're known as the visibility goddess. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Because you really are a human design visibility mentor, and you help people to get visibility in their marketplace.
Yeah, no one's going to know about you if you're hiding under a rock.
Boy, that's
And
true, isn't it?
exactly. One of the reasons that I love to work with women is that I do believe as women, there's so many limiting beliefs and so many blocks that hold us back. Imposter syndrome obviously is such a big one. Worried about being rejected, not being taken seriously. Who am I to stand on stage and speak about my craft, and who am I to do this, who am I to do that? So really I work with a lot of women who really need to get to that next level within their business, but they're holding back, and they're not being visible. And I do believe that if you've got a purpose and a vision, and you're here to make a difference in this world, if you're a change maker, then it's imperative, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as founders, CEOs, it's so important that we go out there and we get our message heard. And in order to do that, we need to go out there and be visible. But that in itself brings big challenges to many, many people, including myself. When I first started my business, I was pretending to be visible, but I wasn't, right? So I was being visible like within my comfort zone. So what I really do is I help women really come out of their comfort zone so that they can go and make those big leaps.
Yeah, because so many of us are afraid to do that. We're afraid to step out of the comfort zone. We're afraid that we will be criticized. And I think that really makes us sometimes very nervous about what we're doing. You wrote a book called Illuminate from Within. It goes with your Illuminate method. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so really, the book is about how to use human design to be able to be visible, to be able to step out and speak your truth and stand up as a thought leader, and predominantly really go out there and create the abundance, or the opportunities that you really desire within your life. So have you heard of human design, Judy? Like, have you worked with human design, or have you ever heard about what human design is?
I'd like you to explain that for my audience, if you would, please.
Yeah, so it's kind of coming more into the mainstream now, but I would think that probably quite a lot of your audience maybe have a corporate background, so you'd be familiar with Myers-Briggs, which is a personality test.
Right.
It is used in a lot of major corporations to support their workforce, and especially their leaders. It's a good leadership tool. I want you to imagine that Myers-Briggs astrology became lovers and had a love child, and that is human design. So it's like a personality test, but it's based on your birth chart. It's based on your time and your date and your place of birth. And what it does is it gives you a blueprint of your aura. So it shows you what your natural tendencies are, your energy, how other people receive your energy, how they receive your energy, how you receive other people's energy. So it's really an incredible tool for relationship building. And we all know that businesses, or any like life, right?
Yes.
Success is built on relationships. So actually, if we can naturally build relationships and collaborations and create opportunities with other people that we're aligned to, that in line with our values, then that's an incredible tool for business growth, for leadership. And I feel that with human design, you can take human design and just put it straight over onto your business as a blueprint. So it really is it's a blueprint. It's like a life guide, and you can apply it to anything. You can apply it to children, to relationships, to health, to wellness, to anything. But I just happen to apply it to leadership and to visibility and business growth. And a lot of my clients, I work with a lot of women around the world who have either just started out in their business. I work with women who are running six-figure, multiple six-figure, about to break into seven-figure business success. And I work with a lot of these women who really all of their lives have just felt that it's been a struggle, and they've been comparing themselves to other people. And what human design does is it really helps you to understand you, like who are you, and how can you really accept and validate your own gifts instead of you going out and trying to be like someone else. It's really helped me within my business. I've been in my business now 7 years, and I discovered human design about 5 years ago, and I started to slowly like incorporate it with my clients and introduce them to it, and they love it. And I've seen so much transformation, not only in my own business but in the business of my clients.
I think more and more what we used to be considered kind of woo-woo is being accepted into the business world, the corporate world. I think we're starting to understand that there's a lot more to relationships and getting along than just putting people in the same room and saying, "Here's your goal, go for it." Would you?
Yeah, I absolutely agree, Judy. And, my background is corporate leadership. So I worked in corporate as a senior leader for over 28 years. I coached and mentored, combined with my corporate career and my business, I've mentored like thousands of senior leaders, business owners, business leaders. And especially in corporate, it's all about the bottom line. It's all about how we're going to make our numbers, and it's really on performance. A lot of this is around performance. How do I perform as a leader? How do I manage my team? How do I get the best results? And I think that the world now is waking up to the fact that, of course, that's important. Of course it is, because businesses are there to make money, right? We're there to make a profit. But actually, when you can really invest in your teams, especially in your leadership teams, and you can really help them be able to find that inner fulfillment. So it's not just about the figures, it's not just about the bottom line, it's about coming into work and enjoying your job, building relationships with others. That has such a huge impact on the business, but it's always been seen in corporate as soft skills.
Yes.
Right. Yes. And it's now being as really important, especially if you look at the burnout rate of senior leaders within corporate, and what impact that has on the bottom line, in terms of staff retention and sickness and all of that. And that really affects the performance. So what I'm finding more and more now is that I'm actually going back to my corporate roots. So not only am I working with entrepreneurial women and business owners, I'm now going into corporate, and I am giving leadership training within their organizations, but aligned with their human design. And it's just fantastic to be able to do a full 360.
Yes.
And to be able to go back to my corporate roots again, but look at it from a different angle.
Well, I didn't mean to insinuate that your process was airy-fairy. I was just thinking about the time when I was a woman executive in a media group in South Africa, and the only woman at that level. And I was thinking that if I had told anyone we were going to do something based on their birth chart, like you said, those guys would have laughed me out of the place. They were so stuck in their old boys, good old, the way we have always done everything. I'll never forget the first time I asked in a meeting, where is the ladies' room? I need to go to the ladies' room. They said, there is no ladies' room on this floor because we didn't think any of you would ever get this far.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you were talking about that, and I was thinking our astrological chart affecting those guys would have had a fit, they would have just had a fit. So I think it's wonderful that it's being incorporated into the business world, because I believe it has a big influence on our relationships, and even on our relationship with ourselves, understanding who we are. I really do believe that. You talk on some very interesting topics. You talk about overcoming the imposter syndrome. You talk about women's empowerment and leadership. You talk about uh, become an opportunity magnet for human design. I mean, you've got so many great topics. Tell us how you decided to go into speaking, and was that easy for you to go into speaking, or did you get nervous and have to learn, or was it just a natural thing from being a leader for 28 years?
I love speaking, Judy. I remember the first stage I ever spoke on, I was about 2 years old. So I've spoken all my life. And when I left home, I went and traveled the world, and I spoke on stages all around the world. I used to speak to big groups on stages, and also I used to perform on stages as well, so I feel very comfortable on stage. I love being on stage. I tell you what though, I still get really nervous, like just before I go on I get very, very nervous, and that has continued, and it's fine. I embrace it now. I'm like, this means that I'm really passionate.
It
No,
does. It means you really,
exciting.
really care. That's why.
Exactly. So I'm one of these people that like in a green room that is kind of like jumping up and down on a mini trampoline and tapping on myself, right, doing EFT on myself before I go on a stage. But I love it. I love to speak on my own stages. So I love to host events, both offline and online, in-person events, and run retreats all around the world for many years now. And I also love to speak on other people's stages. I love to MC events. Yeah, I would say that I am pretty much in my element when I am on a stage, and I'm able to share my message with the room.
Well, I've really enjoyed getting to know you in this last year that we've been in the Women Thrive organization together. You really are, and it's an artful energy. Tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, so I met Ramonda, who is the founder of Women Thrive, about 7 years ago, I think now. We were introduced by a mutual friend, who it's someone actually that I spoke on a stage with in San Francisco, at a health conference in San Francisco. I was emceeing on that event, and I was a keynote speaker. And immediately we hit it off. And I think at the time we were kind of looking at maybe potentially doing things together. And, sometimes it's not the right timing. And then I was invited in to work with her in her organization, probably about 6 months ago, and it's been a fantastic opportunity. And I feel like when women come together in a room, it's just incredible, right? Magic happens. And I'm sure you'll agree with this, Judy. Magic happens
Yes,
when
yes.
women come together in a room. There's so much, I think there's so many feminine wounds, about competition and cattiness, and, this kind of like history of potentially women being in competition and not getting along with one another. And I think that when you are in an incredible community like Women Thrive, and there's so many communities like that around the world, I have my own community of women leaders. I think that when we can really like show that the business and collaboration can be done in a different way, and we really come into these communities to support one another and cheer one another on, this really is the healing that the world needs. And women are really rising up now in their leadership, attuned to their own natural tendencies, not trying to be a man, like being a woman, and actually bringing in that male and feminine energy, and being able to stand up and speak their truth. So I'm very, very excited in all of the communities that I am actively a part of.
Yes, well, you have your own community, which is what?
So my community, well, our community is Illuminated Leaders. I work with incredible female leaders all around the world, even though we are starting to have some men that are coming into our events, which I'm very, very excited about. I wanted to set up a community of women because I saw that a a lot of my clients were working in silo. And
Mhm.
a lot of the feedback that I had from my clients is that they were joining these high level masterminds and networking groups and organizations and coaching programs, but none of it was really set up for women. It was almost like you were saying, Judy, when you were in corporate in South Africa, it was like a man's room that were kind of like, oh, come on, then you can come in. Right. So I realized that there was a real gap in the market for, women that really wanted that beautiful sisterhood, but they wanted the sisterhood to be operating at a higher level, right?
Right.
They wanted to be around business women, around women that they could collaborate with, that they could create partnerships with, they could really build relationships with, that were at the same mindset and the same level as them within business, but actually had that really beautiful, like goddess kind of feminine energy. So that's when I birthed Illuminated Leaders. I remember the day very, very well. I was sat on a beach in Cannes in the south of France, and just the word just came to, like, I saw a beautiful full moon the night before, and I was just obsessed with this moon. It was so beautiful, Judy. And I was on the beach the next day, and I was like, what can I call this community? And I was like, Illuminate. So we called, that's when we held our first retreat, and then the community came out at the back of that, Illuminated Leaders.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. And you truly do illuminate. You're like a bright light. Every time you come into the room, you're just like the room lights up. You're such a dynamic personality. And when you talk about um, being authentically visible is an art form. I really like that. And I like that you said it's pure energy because people do have an energy about them. And I think so many times we don't realize that when someone enters a room or they leave a room, the energy changes based on what that person's energy was. I always say they made the room better just by leaving when they're really negative, but our energy does affect other people, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And, that really, again, it comes back to human design, because human design really sort of teaches and shows us like the energy that people take in from us and what we take in from others. Um, I talk a lot about your magnetic aura field. And it's how we attract opportunities into us. And we can either be vibrating at a higher level, which really is at the vibration of love, right? And when we vibrate at that level, when we really do the inner work and we can really start to accept ourselves and love ourselves, know our worth, then we can then start to attract all these incredible opportunities that match that vibration. When we're vibrating at a lower level, which really is at the level of fear, then we're not going to attract in those wonderful opportunities. We're probably going to attract in opportunities, people, things that are vibrating at that level of fear. So very much the foundation of my work is around really changing your inner reality. And once we can change the way that we feel about ourselves, the whole world starts to feel differently about us. One of my favorite quotes is, as soon as you start to appreciate yourself, the whole world appreciates you. So it's really about looking at what are things, how are things showing up in my life? How do I want to make it different? What do I want more of? What do I want less of? And let's see if we can then create an energetic match for that by really doing some inner work, clearing up the limiting beliefs, stop judging ourselves, stop judging others, looking at the people that we're hanging out with, like thinking about our thoughts. It's all obviously aligned to law of attraction, but it's kind of like, it kind of makes sense, right? Because if I think about like when we look at the human design types within human design, there are 5 different human design types, and each type has a higher vibration and a lower vibration. So I'm a human design projector. So I'm here to be a guide. I'm here to be a wise sage, a guide. When I am vibrating at my higher vibration frequency, I vibrate at the frequency of success. I feel successful. When I'm at my lower vibration, I'm vibrating at the frequency of bitterness. Well, if you think about it practically, who wants to hang out with a bitter person? Like, if I'm bitter, no one's going to want to hang out with me. No one's going to want to be in my community. No one's going to want to join my programs. No one's going to want to be my friend. No one's going to pay me to be their coach. So we have a duty of care to ourselves that if we want to go out there and we want to make an impact in the world, we need to be really at our higher vibration. And that is our responsibility, to do the inner work, to clear all of the blocks, all of the limiting beliefs about ourselves, and to really stand there in our abundance. You know, we are humans, so obviously we're going to have good days and bad days, but predominantly I used to work with Bob Proctor before he passed away. And he always used to say, like, always leave, whenever you have a conversation with someone, always leave them with like feeling like something's been increased. So like, always make them feel better. After you've had that conversation, they feel better than before you had that conversation. Right. That feeling of increase. And I really, really love that. It's always stuck with me, because I'm like, yeah, actually, I have a care to I want people to feel good when after they've interacted with me. And I try and remember that all of the time, even when I'm feeling
I know, because, you know, in this day and age, there's so many people that are dealing with so many negative situations that it's very hard for us to keep our energy up if we're around somebody who's complaining all the time. I took an art class from a lady that every time she walked in the room, she was complaining about something, her health or the traffic or her paints or something. And I finally just had to go somewhere else, you know, because they wear you out. They wear your energy down.
Yeah.
They really do. If you were to give some advice to the people who are listening to us and watching us today, what would you tell them about their mindset and what they need to do?
You know what? This whole like conversation around personal development and all the things that we do, you know, whether you're doing yoga or whether you are taking art classes, or whether you're taking a leadership course, or whether you're standing on stages, I truly believe that all roads lead to self-love. And I feel that that's just the whole point of everything. And we all have different vehicles. So my vehicle will be very different to your vehicle, Judy. It will be very different to, you know, someone else in the industry. But I would just love to invite everyone that is watching and listening to this to really, if you don't truly love yourself and accept yourself, to really think about things that you can do to change that opinion of yourself. You know, maybe there's someone that you need to forgive. Maybe that person that you need to forgive is yourself. Maybe you need to look at your work-life balance and maybe, you know, work a little bit less. Maybe you need to take yourself on a date. Every Friday I take myself on a date. I take myself and my business on a date without fail, and do the things that really light you up. And I think, you know, if you follow your bliss, then so many things will fall into place. So that, I think, really, I just want to leave a message of love. And I've just realized I have actually got a sweater with
You've
love.
got on your love shirt?
I've got my love shirt on. Just for you, Dee.
I like that you've talked about self-love. You know, so many of us were taught that loving ourselves was selfish or arrogant, or we would get too full of ourselves. We've had parents that have put us down because they didn't want us to get too excited about who we were. But you're saying it's okay to love ourselves. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember that, you know, these, especially when you're children, like, who does she think she is, and she's too big for her boots, and yeah, like, don't be too conceited, don't think too much of yourself. This isn't this isn't anything to do with that. This is about really like having boundaries, honoring yourself, respecting yourself. And when you do
Taking care of
respect
yourself.
yourself, other people respect you.
Yes.
Um, it's the most important thing, in my opinion, to really learn yourself, because then you can like hang out with yourself, and how amazing is that, right?
We can have conversations with ourselves.
Yeah, I do it that a lot actually, Judy.
I love it. I love it. Well, we're running out of time, but I wanted to tell you, I'm so delighted you were here today, and I think my audience learned a lot from you, and I got a couple of great new ideas, so that's really terrific. So thank you for being here. Please tell my audience how they can reach you if they would like to contact you.
So the best of my dogs just popped up. Do you want to see him? This is Rudy. This is
Oh,
Rudy.
look how cute he is.
Rudy can be with us when we're talking. So the best place to contact me really is to go over to my website, abigailrebecca.com. I've got loads of blogs on there, lots of free things. I do lots and lots of free training. If you want to find out what your human design is, if you're intrigued, you can download a free human design chart there. And that will lead you on to different avenues. You can connect with me on Instagram. That's where I out a lot on social media. I have a YouTube channel, but really my website is the best place to start.
I think that's what a lot of us are going to do. As soon as we get through here, we're going to run over to your website and get on that human design quiz and see if we can find out who and what we are, right?
Yeah. I'd love to know what you are, Judy.
That would be quite interesting. I'll give it a try. Yeah. Thank you for being here. I so appreciate it.
Thank you, Judy.
And thank you for being with us today. It's always wonderful to have you join us. And if you have a story that you would like to share on What's Your Story, please contact me, Judy at judymorio.com or Judy Morio at WWDBTV.com. So thank you a million and have a great week.